some more on all of that, and we are joined now by Evan Lucas, IG market strategist from Melbourne. Evan, good to see you there. A lot of positioning, I guess. Do you think is that what was going on overnight as we see the debt ceiling, the budget deadlines looming, and of course the ongoing taper uncertainty as well?
Yeah, it certainly is. It was a very quiet night, actually. If you have a look at the volumes that are going through on the US, they were on the lower side of their 30-day average. And that again gets back to the fact that we are now getting closer and closer to that September 30 date with the debt ceiling. They don't look like they've got any closer, and there is a prospect now of being a government shutout come Tuesday week when we hit October 1st. The other thing to watch last night was, again, watching those Treasury yields. The Treasury yields on the 10-year US bonds really falling away even further. They're now down to 265, and if you think about it, 2 weeks ago they got all the way up to 299, so that's a really big move. If you look at that across the US board, that's a 44 basis point change, and considering that one of the issues that Ben Bernanke had last week with the movements was, again, that they had seen US mortgage rates for 30 years go up to around about 4.54%, and that is quite expensive historically to US sort of mortgage rates as well. So all of this culminates in fairly light trade, and for that reason you can see that probably filtering through to trade here in Asia. We do look like having a very sort of moderate open up around about 1 point, and that again gets back to what's going on over in the US with a little bit of uncertainty about what's going on with the debt ceiling and when we're going to get any tapering, and more consensus is coming out that it looks like it's going to be December if it's going to be any sort of time in this current calendar year.
Just wanted to get your thoughts on what it means for Australia's gas players now that Japan and Canada are going to work together on cooperative gas deals.
Yeah, there was an interesting thing that's come out. Obviously, currently Prime Minister Abe is touring Canada. He was over in Ottawa yesterday and looks like doing a very close cooperative deal with Canada, particularly what PM Stephen Harper said yesterday, that they are looking to really ramp up the amount of exports they have to Japan. Japan is the single largest importer of gas in the world and is looking like getting that even further. You can see that by what's going on in uranium. Since Fukushima, the Japanese have really stopped their intake of uranium, and you can see that across the globe with uranium plays. And here in Australia, Paladin, also ERA are another examples of all that idea of where uranium is going. So this is, and if you look at it as well, is a slight concern from an Australian perspective. The Canadians are also very much in the current dealing room as we speak with the Japanese about getting a free trade agreement on the play as well. Now, Australia is looking very closely at this. They did say back in June that they were getting almost to the point of signing with Japan on a free trade agreement in agriculture, but if the Canadians come over the top and get an energy free trade agreement in there, it will be further detrimental to our players down here. So if you were somebody like David Knox, Peter Coleman, or Peter Bolton from obviously Woodside Oil Search and also Santos, you'd be slightly concerned to wake up this morning and find out the Canadians look like maybe getting a very nice little deal going with the Japanese, looking like getting a very consistent import numbers coming into Japan from Canada. You'd have to ask the question that the Australian government's going to have to get on their feet very quickly and see if they can get the Japanese down here very fast to actually sign up to some sort of agreement. So interesting developments over in Canada. It is obviously our biggest competitor if you want to sort of compare developed nations in terms of that energy and also materials play, and they're doing very well. They have been ahead of us for quite a while, and this news may actually impact slightly negative on our markets, not just today but over the coming weeks as more and more news comes out that the Japanese may look to their east rather than looking to their south.
Overall, I wanted to get your opening call for the ASX 200, please.
Yeah, overall, we do look like, as I said at the start, opening fairly flat. It's going to be a very soft day. Again, there's only sort of one major news piece coming out for us here, and that's obviously the RBA financial statement review. It will be interesting to see how they sort of come about that, where we're currently sitting. We know their current output with regards to where they see the dollar and also their current slight concerns they have with the mining space and the fact that the non-mining space isn't picking up. It'll be interesting to see how they see levers that can be pulled to maybe stimulate both sides of that idea. That's the major thing coming out at 11:30, but otherwise it's going to be a very sort of tread water market today, and we'll be watching very closely what happens towards the end of the week as we get more and more FOMC meters coming out and talking about where they see the debt ceiling and also the Fed tapering situation going. So quiet day today, Bridie.
All right, thank you so much for that. Evan Lucas there from IG.